WX Television.
I like football!
Now, sports talk from Montana for Montana. Live from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez.
Rebounds will make them have great turnovers.
Lakers Blazers 8 Eastern ESPN Radio. One final, Heat beat the Pacers 109-100 to go up 2-0. 24 points for Duncan Robinson.
How will the Chargers move forward without Phillip Rivers? We'll ask head coach Anthony Lynn when he joins me. Yeah, I said it, me. Jay, Will, and Zubin, Thursday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I don't know if you guys are watching ESPN News, but Junior's grooving right now. I'm trying to see the beats there. We all determined that you're the best wedding guest, and what else are you the best at? Whistling.
And Mike Golick Jr.
And I feel like we might have to have a conversation maybe less about LeBron and more about Anthony Davis.
I do think his talent will come through. It just is where, no, we're waiting.
Janae and Golick Jr.
Hey!
Ain't no days off. To the very last breath.
Anthony Davis and LeBron
To the very last breath.
are a question, no doubt. We're waiting to see what happens tonight, but we got an even bigger one that is coming up even sooner that we got to get answered. It's Janae and Golick Jr. here on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Mike Golick Jr., Janae Wumake here with you. We're presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests join us on the show.
Be a big part of it, if not a starting player on that basketball team. So we'll get into that. The NBA rolling on. 2 number 1 seeds, both down 0-1, both playing this afternoon and this evening. In fact, the Milwaukee game, Orlando. I got Miami, Indiana, because they just finished up playing, by the way. Nice work, because the Heat are up 2-0 there. The Orlando Milwaukee game is tipping off right now, and then Game 2, I know a game that I think most people around here are interested in, maybe the biggest first-round buzz fest of the in the entire NBA playoffs, the Blazers and the Los Angeles Lakers. That's at 7 o'clock. We'll have that for you here on ESPN Radio. So we'll get into some NBA stuff on the show. Also, top of the hour, very happy to be joined by Willa Albrecht. She is the subject of our senior spotlight this week. She was a senior at Billings West this last year and just completed day 2 of school at the University of Montana. Arrived on campus yesterday, or I should say, started classes yesterday. It was on campus a bit before that, but an outstanding basketball player. She is with the Lady Grizz now playing basketball, but an unbelievable season. They were in the state championship game at Billings West for the girls team. Did not get to play that game as a result of COVID, and she missed her senior year of track and field. A great sprinter, Willa Albrecht, and she did not get to participate in that. So talk to her about all that kind of stuff and what's on the horizon, being a member of the Lady Grizz. So we will we'll go through all of that with you. And yes, I might even take a moment to update where we're at in the NHL playoffs, because we have 3 series that are over in the first round, 4-1. So we already got the second round of the playoffs shaping up for us a little bit in the NHL postseason. So there you go. That is our show today. Coulter, hi.
I guess. Did you ever think about
probably
the things that we get to do on the TV that literally nobody else gets to do?
I mean, say more.
It's just fascinating. I just find it funny that, there's my cell phone charger. I get to take it out, plug it in.
No one else can do this on TV.
I don't think anybody else on live TV or seen Sean Rainey plugging in his cell phone to his computer.
No, because he's a professional and we're a couple of amateurs. That's why.
I don't know. I think we're just splicing into a different sort of medium. What sort of book should we talk about today to get the show started on a positive note? Because we're really trying to promote positivity before we get into we're actually leaving.
All my books are depressing. I don't know. I can't help you. Oh yeah,
I got one.
Okay. We only got, I don't know, how many books we have on this bookshelf? About 30 would be my guess, give or take.
All right, I got one.
Okay.
This book is by James Andrew Miller and Tom Shales. For those watching on TV, you can see it here. It's called ESPN. Those guys have all the fun. It is, if anybody's familiar with the journalistic format of an oral history, it's one of my favorite styles of story to write. Also one of the most time-consuming, because what an oral history is just block quotes one after the other from a variety of sources. So you usually need to get 25 to 30 sources for a good, 5,000-word oral history, like a journalism style that you'd run on Skyline Sports or ESPN.com. This is an oral history that is a 760-page book. So the reporting in itself is just incredible. But they talk to literally every person that has been at ESPN since the advent of ESPN. But it's all about how ESPN came about. And it's very fascinating, especially the beginnings of ESPN when they were buying satellite space and making this run at having – there was no 24-hour any network, let alone sports network back then. And so just the thought of doing it and like what was on the network at first and the little dominoes that fell to get to where we are now, where we are one of I think 300 plus ESPN affiliates across the country. Yep. And I mean, ESPN is absolutely one of the strongest brands in the world.
I think from a sports standpoint, it stands alone.
It stands alone, absolutely. I mean, what's the game on? ESPN. That's what everybody says all the time. And so this is a great book. It's really funny. It's also really well written.
I would say if you're going to do an oral history and you need quotes, maybe siphoning the personalities at ESPN is probably you probably get some pretty good quotes.
I mean, just page 284 and 285, you got Dan Patrick, Kenny Mayne, Keith Olbermann, and Charlie Steiner. Pretty good sources.
Not bad.
Pretty good storytellers.
Probably got something to say. So
that is our.
Did you read that? Did you read the book?
I let's see where my bookmark is at. Okay. My bookmark is right there at page 254.
Oh, at that spot. Okay.
So I'm about. I got the gist.
You're third of the way in.
But yeah, it's not as if it wasn't compelling. It was really good. And then I don't know.
It's easy to get. I know exactly. Look, man, people who are readers. It's pretty rare that you find people that are just like front to back next, front to back next.
So here's
4, 5, 6, 8 at a time.
Here's
and
what
kind of circle back.
Here's what I do. I usually pick between 4 and 6 books from my collection that I haven't read and or would really enjoy reading again. I do the best of the best. I do have read quite a bit. Like I've read Panama by Thomas McGuane several times. River Runs Through It I've probably read 10 times. But I always then read. I each night I'll read. For an hour in each of the 6 books and then decide, okay, which one compelled me at this moment in my life, and then go and hammer that one out.
Yeah, it is interesting because a lot of times the book that you like isn't a reflection of the book; it's a reflection of yourself at that moment.
Right?
Yeah,
totally. I mean, honestly, 2 of the best books I've read. They're not in this library right now, but I'll bring them in and we'll analyze them a little more. But books that the moment I read it, I didn't ever go back to the stack. I just read it front to back. They're both by the same author, Jeff Pearlman. Jeff Pearlman's a great sports writer. But Sweetness, the autobiography of Walter Payton. Unbelievable. What a life. What a guy. What an unbelievable person.
Yeah.
And the other one was Boys Will Be Boys, all about the early 1990s Dallas Cowboys. It just couldn't be more entertaining. Charles Haley might be the craziest person that's ever lived.
Yes. No doubt. All right.
There's your dose of positivity today before we get into what is certainly not a great situation.
The not great situation is as follows. Nassim Gaskin, who's a University of Montana men's basketball player. I think anybody that follows the team knows who Nassim Gaskin is, even though he has not yet played for the University of Montana. He transferred from Utah last year and had to sit out last year as a requisite of having transferred due to the NCAA sit out a year, did not get a waiver on that. So he's been on the team for a season and was expected to be, I think, a major factor in this team in terms of minutes, if not just an outright starter. He was arrested last night on a felony domestic violence charge at about 11 o'clock yesterday evening. Drugs and alcohol do not appear to have been involved, according to the story that's up at abcfox.com. But the university did release a statement as follows, quote, "The university and athletic department are aware of the incident involving student-athlete Nassim Gaskin. We understand the seriousness of the allegations and absolutely do not condone such behavior. Per the Student-Athlete Code of Conduct, he has been immediately suspended from all athletic activities. The university has also issued an interim suspension effective immediately," end quote. I'm unclear here. per the student code of conduct, basically you are suspended from all athletic activities, presumably until everything gets sorted out. And if if as the criminal process runs through, if he's exonerated and so forth, then maybe he can be welcomed back. And if he's not, then that may be it. I don't know. But I don't know what this additional interim suspension is to that.
It's from the University of Montana, and it comes with any unreconciled felony charge. So if you are charged with a felony until you're if you're convicted, you're expelled permanently.
Yes.
But if you are if felony charges are pending before you are acquitted, you are not allowed to be on campus, particularly for a violent crime. And this also stems from the Big Sky Conference's new rule as well. Anybody with convictions of violent crimes are not allowed to transfer into the Big Sky or be added to rosters for the Big Sky Conference.
This is obviously not good. This is not good for a variety of reasons. It's not good for the very obvious issue of domestic violence and the alleged domestic violence that took place last night. And it's also not good for the University of Montana men's basketball team, who has had a pretty impressive record of really great kids. I mean, unbelievable guys on that basketball team and what they've been. And this is not something you want to wake up to.
You have to state it too, because it's because athletes land on the front page of the newspaper when they get in trouble. Oftentimes there's this cliche that's perpetuated that athletes get in more trouble, when in fact that's not the case.
Right.
Athletes get in less trouble than the average student population, percentage-wise. It's just that, the Joe Schmo junior in college getting an anthropology degree who gets a DUI, he's just getting in the bottom corner of the C-section. He's not getting on the front page because he doesn't play for the Grizz.
Yeah.
But it's not just saying that these guys are just they're well behaved. That's falling short. Travis Secure has done an exceptional job of recruiting guys that are above and beyond, community leaders, guys that are making impact on the campus community, in the community at large. And we've talked to many professors that say these guys are some of the best kids we have in class. They're sitting in the front row. They're taking notes. They show up on time. They're always there. They're getting good grades. And so this is completely out of character. This will be the probably the biggest situation that they've had to deal with so far in the coaching staff's 6 years at the helm.
Yeah, and so obviously we don't know anything about this. One thing that is generally true is at the point of an arrest, I think police officers and rightfully so sit there and go through whatever sort of the maximum charges that they could have are, because then you can come back off of that later if that's warranted, rather than than not. And I don't know how you generate this stuff, but a felonious domestic violence charge is a very serious charge, charge.
Particularly when it comes to strangulation. I was asking a lawyer, acquaintance of mine, somebody that I know who's a lawyer, and as they were saying, there's a variety of interpretations of assault, and there's a variety of severity of assault. There's a variety of ways you can get charged with assault. He said that there's pretty much no way you get charged with strangulation unless it's there's physical evidence.
Well,
so this is from the police report.
Yeah.
Montana Police Sergeant Travis Welsh said Thursday officers were called at approximately 10:50 p.m. to the 300 block of the East Front Street. So if you know where that's at, it's apartments there on Front Street, downtown Missoula. A woman there reported Gaskin had strangled her and then pushed her off a bed, injuring her. The woman left the residence before contacting the police and then checked into a local motel, Welsh said. Gaskin was arrested based on the woman's statement and evidence officers gathered. Emergency services responded to the call, but the woman declined transportation to the hospital. So still a lot of gray area here. But like you said, a felony assault charge is a very serious matter, regardless of how this reconciles itself. But we're not here to play lawyers.
We don't know anything beyond just what's in there. And that's all I'm going to say is on the what we know is really bad. Like, it's just really bad. There's no two ways about it. And yet, as these processes go through, we may or may not find out more, and if we do, we'll certainly, pass that along when the time comes. As of now, though, Coulter.
As we always say, too, it's important to remind people, and I always say this as a member of the media because I do think the media gets a little bit of a bad rap in terms of what we report is not a conviction of any sort, and in the United States of America, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. And I'm not saying that to give any sort of out to anybody involved. All I'm saying is this is the facts that we know, and we will continue to report the facts as we know. And good job reporting by both ABC Fox Montana, who's able to break this story, our partners at SWX Television, as well as then the Missoula and Seaborn Larson is the one I'm citing for acquiring their police department. But let's talk about the sports angle of this, because Nassim Gaskin, as a basketball player, a very talented kid, a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. He comes from that same area where a lot of the Montana guys have come from, a great pipeline from that Bay Area. And he started his career for Larry Krzyzewski at the University of Utah. He was only there for about a semester before then he ended up transferring here. But for everything we've seen in practice, undeniable his athleticism, his explosiveness. You and I sort of disagreed in terms of where he maybe fit into the mix initially, because I thought that just watching him in practice, I just thought he was going to have to make some real adjustments in terms of fitting into the structure that the team wants to play with. But here nor there, I think that we would both agree that he was going to be, at the very least, a significant part of their rotation this upcoming season, and potentially, if he was to fulfill his potential, absolutely a starter and maybe even a leader and leading scorer on this team.
An all-conference type of player. This is, for this team, if you lose a guy who's got the kind of skill and talent that he's got, it's a major loss. I mean, he is at his best, presumably, as fulfilling his potential to even most of an extent. He is at a level above the Big Sky Conference, and so if he came,
I mean, he was recruited by
Utah, right?
An NCAA tournament team,
sure,
5 team.
Sure. So it was in terms of a player, a big get for this coaching staff. And so that loss, if it turns out that that's what this becomes, is a major loss. For this very season, I think the University of Montana is in a pretty unique position to be able to overcome that loss. They have...
You never want this to be the thing that helps clarify the position battles, but if this thing comes to fruition, it actually does. I mean, it further unclogs the logjam that they have on the wing.
They got 2 transfers, one grad transfer, one other transfer, who are both really good players and have played at this level. And obviously, in the case of Cam Satterwhite, I mean, a presumed starter, right? And then they got, Josh Vasquez returning. We understand the departure of Timmy Falls, which, given the timing of all of that, is quite a thing to sort of reflect on as well. But also a couple of young kids, some high school recruits that are coming in as freshmen who, obviously a lot of times redshirting is the way that you go, but they brought in some guys that were ready to play right away. And I think there's, at least one, if not maybe 2 guards who at least have the skill in their first year to potentially be, contributors, and maybe even more than that on this team at the guard position, at the wing spot. So again, I don't know what this is not a good thing in any respect, and certainly it's not a good thing for the basketball team. Okay, like just from a straight basketball standpoint, this is a major loss. That said, it is not a loss that couldn't be overcome, it seems to me, and still you have the pieces to be a very good basketball team and really good at that position as well.
I don't want to put words in these guys' mouths, but if you're the University of Montana coaching staff, I think that you are, the next time you see your team, you say, this is the mistakes that we don't want to make, but also Josh Vasquez, Eddie Egan, Freddie Brown, here's your shot. Because I think we presume that Cam Satterwhite's going to have a pretty elevated role as a graduate transfer, a guy that's played in the Big Sky, a guy who's played Division I. I mean, he's played for a Final Four team when he was at Loyola Chicago. He's a veteran guy. He knows this league. I think that he's a guy that I think that it would take a lot, I think, for him to not have a spot in that rotation. And I think that we both agree that we really like Cam Parker. I think that he's that true point guard that Montana's been searching for quite some time. Talented guy.
Facilitator.
He can run it in and out. I mean, he can push the ball. And so then the guys we've talked about, the main storyline for this team was finding a role by an injury role, and if your role's diminished, being okay with that, because most of the guys that were going to have diminished roles are not upperclassmen. They were probably going to be underclassmen. The guys, the freshmen that played a year ago, they might not get as many minutes. Josh Vasquez might not get as many minutes. Kyle Owens might not get as many minutes. But that's what I think you do. You challenge those guys and say, hey, one man's misstep is another man's opportunity.
Yeah.
Here's your shot to shine. I mean, I think that Josh Vasquez particularly now, he was going to be a guy who was going to have to really fight and scrap. And that's not to say he wouldn't do it. He might be able to it might be the thing that makes him better and puts him over the top. Even with, say Timmy Falls and Nassim Gaskin were still on this squad. But now I think that Vasquez has a real chance to take that next step head into his sophomore year. And Eddie Egan, too. I mean, Eddie Egan was a guy that they were pretty high on coming into this last year. Had a hard time earning trust to get into that rotation. But then down the stretch did a little bit and actually performed decently well. So, to me, I mean, those are the ones. In terms of the long-term perspective, regardless of how all this plays out, Gaskin is different than most of the Power 5 transfers that they brought in because he was going to have 3 years left to play. Ahmad Rory was in that situation too, but most of the other guys have been 2 or 1 year guys. So it hurts you down the road.
Because this is a disaster long term.
Right.
If it turns out that he is, if he's not coming back to this team, if he's expelled, okay, this hurts in 2022 and 2023 a lot more than it does in 2021.
Because you really hoped he could be like that upstart, maybe flirting with the newcomer of the year in the league type guy this year, but you absolutely expected him to be that, number 1 or number 2 option leader, all Big Sky type guy. Heading into his senior year in a couple of years from now.
It's Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. All right, well, if and when more news comes along, we will share that with you. But for now, we will leave this here and move on to the NBA. It has gone final. It was a really good game. It was like a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter, and Houston closed out OKC, just going final now 111-98. The Rockets beating Oklahoma City, so the Rockets are now up 2-0. Earlier today, the Miami Heat, 109-100 victory over Indiana. They are up 2-0. And just starting on ESPN television, the Milwaukee Bucks trying to get their first win of the postseason. They're down 0-1 to Orlando, but they are up early in this game, 12-8. Just in the first quarter as they play there. We'll take a break. We'll talk more NBA right after this. Boys and girls, Kurt's Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. It is a beautiful time of year in western Montana, so make the most of it. Go to Kurt's Polaris, get your Beta and Husqvarna dirt bikes, cruise around on those, go off some jumps, get into some off-the-road territory. You can also get the four-wheelers, okay? You want to be strapped in, be safe, secure. Maybe you got work to do. Maybe you got a whole group of people you need to get around out in the Forest Service roads. How about these side-by-sides? The Rangers, the Razor, the General, they got them all at Kurt's Polaris. And if you want to get out on the lake, on the water, spend some time, maybe go do a little fishing, and don't feel like you need to come back to the house, because it's comfortable and nice, Crest Pontoon Boats. Top of the line, Crest Pontoon Boats. They're at Kurt's Polaris as well. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. Summer the way you always envisioned. Kurt's Polaris. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Now more than ever, we appreciate the value of relationships. Opportunity Bank has been serving Montanans and building strong relationships since 1922. With banking services for your family and your business, Opportunity Bank is with you as we move through these challenging times. For the latest information about how Opportunity Bank is working with customers and communities during the COVID-19 crisis, visit our website at opportunitybank.com. We are all in this together. Opportunity Bank of Montana, member FDIC.
Who is Automated Living? Nick Anderson, born and raised in Missoula and a UM grad. He's a master of audio, video, and smart integration. Joe Hazel is a Montana native and an expert in security systems and surveillance cameras. And I am Don Verity, building relationships and technology solutions in Western Montana for over 25 years. We have a showroom on North Reserve where you can meet the team and demo the latest audio, video, security, and smart equipment for your home or business. Automated Living, life made easy.
2020 is a census year. The census form has just 9 simple questions. Fill it out online, by phone, or by mail. It's important, quick, and secure. Montana receives nearly $20,000 for each person who completes the form. That means more money for schools, healthcare, and infrastructure. Everyone counts. Learn more at census.mt.gov.
Sponsored by the Montana Department of Commerce. Aired by the Montana Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Montana Association for the Blind is excited to announce a 3-day workshop from October 14th through the 16th in Bozeman. Once again, the event is October 14th through the 16th. For an application, please visit mab.sop@yahoo.com or call Rhonda at 406-442-9411.
This is where you come to jumpstart your life, where the doctors told you there's nothing more they can do. The last thing the doctor wants to do is tell you there's nothing more I can do, but there's something that MAB-SOP can do. There's hope for you in your future.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colter Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Missoula Hellgate alum Catherine Burkhoff remains on the national swimming stage, and her Olympic dreams remain a reality. The peerless state record-setting swimmer who graduated from Hellgate in 2019 was named to the 2020-21 USA Swimming National Team Wednesday, according to a report in the Missoulian. It marks the second consecutive year she has landed on the team. She's one of just 56 female swimmers in America to qualify for the 115-member team. The former Missoula Aquatics Club standout made the team in the 100-meter backstroke, an event her father David Burkhoff earned silver and bronze medals in respectively in 1988 and 1992. During her first year at North Carolina State, Catherine Burkhoff got All-American honors. She was also the ACC champion in the 100-meter backstroke.
In news yesterday, former University of Montana basketball player Kendall Manuel will continue his career overseas. He will also play alongside a former rival. The Billings native signed with Liberbank Oviedo Baloncesto in Spain earlier this week. That means he'll join forces with former Montana State point guard Harold Frey, who signed with the Spanish club earlier this month. And in breaking news this afternoon, University of Montana basketball player Nassim Gaskin has been charged with misdemeanor and family member assault. A second one, a felony charge.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Big night in the NBA. Every night's a big night in the NBA right now. It's the playoffs, baby. Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Yesterday, go through everything that took place on the hardwood. 2 series going well for 2 teams. The other 2 series going well for the fans. Now, at least that's my take. If you'd like to find us on Twitter, you can do that at Gus Tootell, at 102.9 ESPN, at Skyline Sports MT. You can also track us down on YouTube. Watch the Tootell Nuanez YouTube channel. Check out my sweet socks. Colter, yesterday in the NBA, and here coming up in a little while, we'll get into what's going on right now as well. But Brooklyn fought gallantly. There we go. But lost nonetheless by 5, 104-99. Just didn't have enough offense to offset Toronto. They are down now 2-0 in their series. The Philadelphia 76ers are 16th out of 16 worst teams to watch in this postseason.
God, they're terrible.
Just awful. Without Ben Simmons, there's just no energy. There's no heart. There's no. And when I say that, I mean, I'm not questioning effort here when I say there's no heart, but I'm just saying it just feels like they know that their card is up. And they just, they're fighting, they're swimming upstream here. 128-101, they lose to Boston. The Sixers are done. Let me know who Boston has in the second round. The other two series, though, last night, these series I love, and these are look like they're going to be, they're certainly going to be a little bit longer, at least, because they're both split. But the Utah Jazz came back emphatically, won by 19. I wouldn't call it a blowout, but they won convincingly after a very close game in Game 1, which they lost, but they beat Denver 124 to 105. And then game of the day yesterday, the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Clippers. Phenomenal. What a great game to watch.
How much different is it watching the Mavs and the Clippers versus the 76ers and anybody?
Oh, just night and day difference. But Dallas wins the game 127-114. The Clippers were without Patrick Beverley, and I said to you as soon as I found out Beverley's out, and I mean I'm not trying to pat the back here, but
you did.
Like, Mavs, sit. Dallas, Give it to Dallas.
Yep, I threw down a bet all the way across the board.
Patrick Beverley is he's obviously not one of the 2 best players on his team. He might not be one of the 4 best players on his team, depending on how you count it. But first of all, the havoc that he wreaked on Doncic in Game 1, and just in general, the energy. I mean, when he's out there, you know who played last night, who was an absolute non-factor, a zero non-factor? Paul George. After
Foul
he
trouble,
was,
certainly.
He got 3 fouls in the first quarter and a half of the game, sat the rest of the second quarter, but also, he's just, even when he was out there, nothing. And he was great in Game 1. And I'm not going to sit here and say the reason Paul George is good is because Patrick Beverley's, playing. Guys have good games, guys have bad games, and Paul George is an all-star and deserves everybody's respect as a basketball player. But nonetheless, the energy that Patrick Beverley brings to the floor when he is out there is just it's second to none. And him
and the edge too.
And also with this team, when everything's running through, Doncic is so good that, like you said, you're not shutting. Patrick Beverley was out there; he still scored 42 points in the first game. Okay, but he also had 12 turnovers.
You harass him,
absolutely,
take him out of the flow.
It's a big deal. So here's what I want to know. And also, so this series is 1-1. I think a lot of people loved the Clippers. Right, they were one of the 3 betting favorites by far to win the whole thing coming into this. Great basketball team. But you look at what happened to Porzingis, the questionable, double tech deal from Game 1 in a game that was, I don't recall the score, but single digits in terms of the margin of victory.
Yep.
Dallas got to feel pretty good about themselves and maybe even be going, you know what, this could or should be 2-0 us over the Clippers. So, everybody hold your horses about anointing, this team to be running through to the Western Conference Finals and beyond.
It's all about the little matchups too, right? In the playoffs when you have multiple stars. Okay, so Paul George scored 14 points last night. He was in foul trouble. That's a huge advantage for the Mavs. But at the end of the day, you're probably going to get 50 from Kawhi and Paul George. That's kind of the over/under is 50. They're going to get you 50, 25 each. So last night they got you 49, even though Paul George only got you 14 because Kawhi had 35. You know that Doncic and Porzingis are probably going to get you 50 as well, right?
Well, I think more than that.
But that's kind of the over/under, 25 each, right? Yeah, sure. Last night Doncic had 28 and Porzingis had 23, so 51. So you're +2 even with Paul George as being in foul trouble, not having a great game. So then what does it come down to? That's what wins these playoff games.
Boban Marjanovic is who it comes down to.
It's Tim Hardaway.
Boban!
It's Tim Hardaway Jr. scoring 17.
You rang?
And Reggie Jackson scoring 10, right? But then so now you're +9. But then, okay, Lou Williams that's why he's such a great equalizer, because he's going to give you 20 off the bench. So then where do you make up with that? But then that's why then having your boy
Boban
come off the bench and get himself 13 and 9.
He's in hot pursuit of Joe Ingles for Tootell's favorite player in the league, Boban.
It was funny too because he didn't play in the first quarter. Then he came in the second quarter, played for Porzingis, gave him a spell. He played for 10 minutes.
5 of 6.
Yep,
right.
Scored 13 points, 9 rebounds. And he played 9 of his 10 minutes in that second quarter. And they didn't play again.
He had 9 rebounds in 9 minutes.
So why wasn't he in? Why wasn't he in? But also that's the chess match, is knowing when you can use him and when you can exploit that matchup. Yeah. But that's the thing that puts you over the top. That his 13 points is the difference. That's the difference because it surpasses what you expect to get.
On Inside the NBA last night, I thought this was fun. First of all, they interviewed Boban Marjanovic. I hope I'm close on this. Who is from Serbia, by the way. They said he affirmed this on the show, that his father is 5'4" and his mother is 5'3". And I think he's 7'5". Coulter, is he 7'5"?
I believe
7'4" at least.
I believe he's the tallest player in the league.
Fully 2 feet taller than either of his parents, which is something.
His wife is also 5'5".
Is that right?
Hilarious.
But
he is 7'4", 295 pounds.
Could not be a happier, nicer guy. We talked about this during they had Mark. It's Marquise Morris that plays for the Clippers, right?
I can't remember.
Forget which Morris brother it is. I think it's Marquise Morris. Anyway, who is a fiery, competitive.
It's Marcus Morris.
Oh, it's Marcus Morris.
Yep.
Okay. And I would say plays with a bit of an edge. And he's standing there next to Boban at the free throw. He goes, "You are the nicest guy that I know. You're my guy. I really like you." He's talking to him during the game and saying this to Boban, and Boban just shrugs his shoulders and is just grinning. He's just such a happy guy. And then they have the conversation. Who are the best teammates like Boban that you ever played with? Guys who maybe didn't play a ton of minutes or whatever, but were always there, and everybody rolled through. And who does Shaq say? Larry Kristoviak. That's who. I mean, they all picked a couple of guys. He had a couple others as well. But Larry K on the list of, the best teammates to go around and have some fun with. So shout out, University of Utah head coach and Missoula native. All right.
I loved listening to Boban on the Inside the NBA. He was so funny. But back to just the way that this matchup is playing out. The brilliance of what the Mavs do is that they just blitz you at the beginning. Luka Doncic is so good at getting in and out of everything. They have several of these unique weapons. If Tim Hardaway Jr. is hitting from 3, then the Mavs are largely unguardable when they play that lineup that has Porzingis, Doncic, Hardaway Jr., and Kleber, because they have so much. I mean, they're huge. First of all, not the smallest guy on the court at that moment is 6'7", but you also have 4 guys who can stretch the floor. They can step out and shoot him. Porzingis is, when he's hitting, he's one of the most unique weapons in the league.
Can I ask you this? Of guys who are legit 7 feet or taller, is there a better 3-point shooter than Porzingis?
It just depends if you believe that Kevin Durant is 6'11" or 7'1".
Well,
Kevin Durant and Kevin Garnett. Kevin Durant took the Kevin Garnett model where he said, "I'm going to say I'm 6'11" forever because I don't want to be considered a 7-footer because 7-footers are plodding." But, I mean, as we know, there's been evidence from the pre-draft camp that KG was 7'1" all along and that Kevin Durant's 7 feet tall. But, no, I mean, it's a great point. I'll tell you this. Regardless of if we're splicing hairs over inches, there has never been a guy 7'3" or taller that shot the ball like Kristaps Porzingis. Never, not once, no player in the history of the league that's 7'3" or taller that shoots the ball like him.
Well, and there's not been that many guys that are 7'3" anyways. But even of the 7-footers, I mean, I understand that guys do it now. Anthony Davis steps out and he'll knock down a 3 from time to time. Sure. Even Joel Embiid, he'll pull up and give it a run, and they'll make them. This is the league that we're in now. But Porzingis is a legitimate, I'm stepping out from 3 threat to shoot and make the shot, and he does it regularly.
And he shoots 36 or 38% from 3.
And exactly. And the thing is when he went to New York, when he was drafted, that was maybe the jaw-dropping thing. You're like, I can't believe it. But he was so slender, and you go, can he really operate inside, which in theory is where he should probably do most of his work. He's gotten bigger, to his credit, and I think his athleticism is really taken a step since he first got into the league. So I'm very impressed with him, and he is, unicorn is pretty apropos, man, because he's a unique set of skills. He's not the ball handling Giannis, Kevin Durant, type of player, but as a multiply faceted guy without the ball in his hands, and then with it, to be receiving passes from Doncic all over the place. It's unbelievably great tandem, the two of them together.
The fact that they've gone all in on the European style, and the fact that they have 3 true European guys in their starting lineup when you count Maxi Kleber as well, to me it's very akin to when you got a guy like Kyler Murray stepping into the NFL and people are wondering, okay, this guy, he's unorthodox, he's small, he's a tremendous athlete, but he's only ever run the Oklahoma spread. But then you put him in an offense that it's not foreign to him. Like Kyler Murray knew Cliff Kingsbury's offense the day he walked into the Arizona Cardinals. That's what the Mavs have done with Luka Doncic, and that's why they're thriving offensively, because it's not a foreign style that they're playing. They are bringing the foreign style to the NBA. The foreign style has obviously had a huge impact on the league over the last 15 or 20 years, but that's their whole thing, is that the Mavs try to score 65 on you in the first half. Their biggest weakness, they said this on the game last night, the Mavs blew leads of 10 points or more with 4 minutes to go or less in the fourth quarter 9 times this year. Well, you think if you close those 9 games out, the Mavs, they won mid-40s games? Hold on, let me check here. Regardless, let's just say they win 8 more games. They're a 50-plus win team, absolutely, and all of a sudden then they're like the 3 seed. So this is a very talented team.
So give me your percentage that they win the series against the Clippers.
Well, I still think that it's a very low chance. I still think I'll give them a 10% chance to win the series, and it's only because of this. If there was ever a guy that I believe can erase the previous result and or use the previous result to fuel his internal fire that's in the league right now, it's Kawhi Leonard. When it comes down to it, the Clips are going to win the next game because Kawhi Leonard is going to go figure out how to win it for them. He's not going to let them go down 2-1, and if they do go down 2-1, I guarantee he's going to get it to 2-2 in short order.
Yeah. I think I might give him a little better, 15%, but I'm with you. It's still a low number. The Clippers are really good. Now,
we're still also in a situation here where, because the Clippers are a heavy favorite, even though the Mavs are matching up well and they're playing well and they're not playing scared and the bubble is the great equalizer, you're still in a situation where maintenance, endurance, the long haul, the marathon, that's still a real thing. So even though Kawhi Leonard has guarded Doncic from time to time, that's why Pat Bev is such a huge piece, because you don't want to just throw Kawhi Leonard on Doncic right now, because it still is just a 1-to-1 series. But if it comes down to it, if their backs are against the wall, they'll put Kawhi Leonard on Luka Doncic from start to finish to make sure that they're not eliminated. They're just trying to save some gas in the tank right now, but if it comes down to it, they'll empty that thing because they don't want to be out, and Kawhi Leonard will do it. He can do it.
Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. On the other side, the NBA right now, and specifically 2-1 seeds who are down 0-1 in their respective series. One of them playing as we speak. We'll bring you up to date and tell you what we think is going to happen next.
Uncertain and, let's face it, crazy times, there is still one thing you can count on: the Desperado Sports Tavern. While sports may be up in the air, in flux, and changing with the times, one thing that is not up for debate or postponement are the Desperado's best hot wings in town. And with juicy burgers and ice-cold brews, you'll leave Desperado satisfied with whatever's happening or not happening in the sports world. The Desperado Sports Tavern on South Russell, across from the Y.
After a long couple of months, it's finally feeling like we're getting back to business as usual. But it's not the usual at all. At Missoula's Wingate, we are, as always, committed to giving you a relaxing stay at a great value. But we're also balancing the new guidelines like maximum pool occupancies and increased disinfecting to protect your health with a never-ending pledge to make you feel at home when you're not. If you find yourself on the road in the Missoula area, please consider staying with us at Missoula's Wingate.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. Well, more like Les Schwab alignment and brakes and shocks and wheels and tires. Now, some tire places don't offer all that. They only sell tires. And we're not sure how they sleep at night, because all those services affect things like steering and stopping. That's why we offer more than tires to help keep you safe. Stop by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Whether you work hard or play hard, you need a hairstyle that fits your lifestyle. And you can find your unique style at Compass Barbershop, recently voted one of Missoula's best barbershops. So if you're going full throttle or looking for that laid-back look, the professionals at Compass Barbershop can give you the precision cut you're looking for. Schedule your online appointment at compassbarber.com. For more details, find them on Facebook or Instagram. So find your way to Compass Barbershop, open Monday through Saturday on the Hip Strip at the corner of Modern and Retro.
2020 is a census year. The census form has just 9 simple questions. Fill it out online, by phone, or by mail. It's important, quick, and secure. Montana receives nearly $20,000 for each person who completes the form. That means more money for schools, healthcare, and infrastructure. Everyone counts. Learn more at census.mt.gov.
Sponsored by the Montana Department of Commerce. Aired by the Montana Broadcasters Association and the station.
Waterton Lakes and Glacier National Parks together were designated as the first trans-border international peace park in 1932 by Rotarians in the United States and Canada. To this day, Rotarians continue to come together each September to celebrate the peace of our nations and pledge never to bear arms against each other. To learn about the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, go to watertonglacierpeacepark.org or find a Rotary Club near you and learn how you can join. Go to joinmissoulaRotary.org.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Outstanding to be with you on this very fine Thursday afternoon. Hope you are well. Thanks for being with us. At Gus Tootell at 102.9 ESPN, at Skyline Sports MT as well on Twitter. Right now, update for you, the Milwaukee Bucks holding a commanding lead, 25-13. Over the Orlando Magic. They've just begun 1 minute into the second quarter in that game. 13 points. I don't if they scored anything in the second quarter, I don't know, but 13 points or less in a quarter is what the Bucks just held Orlando to in that first quarter. It's getting it done defensively. That's not ideal, obviously, for Orlando. I would also like to just scream once again about this idiotic statistic. The Milwaukee Bucks, according to the ESPN projection, have a 92.5% chance of winning this game. They're up 15 with 10 minutes to go in the second quarter, and they have now it's a 94%. They made a three-pointer. They have a 94% victory. Just get out of here with this.
The thing is, these guys are professionals. They don't fold like every other level of basketball folds when they give up huge runs. I mean, just think of the series we were just analyzing, the Mavs-Clippers series. The Clippers led the first game 18-2. The Mavs got out to a 15-2 game lead last night. It was a one-possession game at halftime in both games.
Totally. I mean, I understand this is weighted to the team that's expected to win. Like, if the Magic were up by 15, they would not have a 94% chance of winning. They'd have like an 82% chance of winning.
No
okay,
question.
That's fine. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone with this garbage. That's all I'm saying. In any case, Coulter, the Bucks and Magic playing right now, I think this is a big game for Milwaukee. The Bucks are a supremely talented team. They have an absolute all-pro superstar, but they have a great complementary group. I mean, their team composition, I think, is an excellent one.
You were mentioning how the Sixers are so hard to watch.
Yeah.
To me, and this is a little bit of a backtrack, but the Mike D'Antoni Phoenix Suns of the mid-2000s, the Mike D'Antoni Houston Rockets of now all the way through now, the Golden State Warriors obviously have all gotten so much credit for changing the game of basketball so much like they did. The two teams I think don't get enough credit for the innovation that they played with and the influence they've had on the game now is, first of all, the San Antonio Spurs, because Greg Popovich was the first guy to say that corner three is the easiest shot in basketball. Let's just find a dude who can shoot that shot. Enter Bruce Bowen, Steve Kerr, Robert Horry, dudes that really have no other discernible contributions to the team but can sit there and stroke 3, 4, 5 threes in a game. And also just the way that they did their defensive rotation. I mean, we don't need to get into all the innovation Pop had. To me, the most underrated innovative team in the history of the NBA was the Stan Van Gundy Orlando Magic when they had Dwight Howard, because they were the first team that decided we're not only play 4 round 1, we're going to play 4 round 1 with nothing but big guys, nothing but guys that can shoot it. Rashard Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu. I mean, they had multiple 6'8 plus shooters around Dwight Howard, and it's why Dwight Howard's limited offensive abilities weren't an issue. They went all the way to the finals. They beat LeBron James to get to the finals before they lost that finals. But now the Bucks do the same thing, except for that they're 4 round 1. Dwight Howard's now Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Giannis Antetokounmpo
is not an offensive liability.
He's not an offensive liability. I saw a stat the other day. It's a great graphic. It showed every single spot on the floor you can shoot from and who the NBA's leader is from those spots. I thought it was fascinating because, the whole top of the arc's James Harden. You knew that was going to be the case. But the whole, the elbows down into the lane is all Chris Paul. You probably could have guessed that one too. But the 15-footers on the baseline, Carmelo Anthony's still the best guy in the game at that shot. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the whole circle under the rim is him. Yeah. And then when I was looking up what his statistical percentage is, he averaged almost 30 points per game this year. He averaged 16 points per game this year at the rim. Wow. Think of that.
Yeah.
That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
You have to go back to Wilt Chamberlain to find guys that were getting 6, 7, 8 buckets at the rim every single game.
The reason I say, and it's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, the reason I say I think this is a big game for Milwaukee, though, is they're a team that hasn't done it yet, and generally we say if the superstar is young, they're a young team. I don't know that they're that young a team. They are a younger team, but when you're the 1 seed and you have the pressure of proving it on your shoulders to some extent.
Excuse me, we're still talking about the Bucks.
Did I say the Magic? I'm sorry. Yes, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
The Bucks are certainly. I would say they're certainly a young team.
Yeah,
because their centerpiece is so young.
They're not a super young team, and there's some teams that are kids out there playing. But
it's true because they do have veterans. Because Chris Middleton's 29, Eric Bledsoe's 30. I can't believe that happened. When did that happen? But you're right, because they have great veterans like Wesley Matthews.
Like they're the Kings, you know what I mean?
Right, you're right. Actually, you're right. I would say they were a veteran team because besides Giannis, they actually are. Because right now on the court, Chris Middleton's 29. Brook Lopez is in his 30s. Eric Bledsoe's 30. Wesley Matthews is 32. Kyle Korver's late 30s.
But also outside of Korver, because he's been around. So, what have any of these guys? What's the best teams that they've been on? What have they done? Some of them. Brook Lopez, he's had some runs and things like that.
Okay,
but the point is, these guys coming together are a great group together. But you have then to do it, and when you come in and you're the 1 seed. And definitively the best team in the East. I don't think anybody's even coming close to arguing that point. And then you lose the first game you play in the bubble postseason to the Orlando Magic, who's 8 games under 500. And you go, okay, all right, but we got to go win. We got to go show what it is that we are and who we are, both for themselves and for the rest of the league. And this is one instance where I think there's a certain level at which it's good for Milwaukee that they're not playing in Milwaukee. If they lose game 1 at home and they're facing 3 consecutive games potentially in Orlando, and your home crowd is there, they bring tension with them. The fans who are nervous Nellies in there, all they want to do is yell and scream, but the first couple of shots that don't fall and you find yourself in an early hole and the hand-wringing begins, and that gets transferred, in that way. Now, clearly, that ain't happening right now. Milwaukee got out to a very early start, and they are, they're in control of the first third of this basketball game. But I think this is an important game just in that respect, and to reaffirm, no. Okay, this is who we are. Orlando, you're a nice, maybe up-and-coming team, but don't come in here with any expectations that you're going anywhere after 5, maybe 6 games. That's what I think Milwaukee needs to do. If they could win 4 straight, it would be, I think, big for them. They certainly don't want to go more than 6.
And this is where the NBA is just, it's distinctly different than every other sport. And this is why the superstars in the NBA have so much clout, why they have so much prominence. Because when it really comes down to it, when it's win or go home, you really can put the ball in your guy's hand and let him lead you all the way. And the Magic have nobody that can guard Giannis. Like, if it really, really, really comes down to it, they can just run straight ISO pick and roll with Giannis until, he can just score 60.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It's the number one thing that defines the NBA above all else. One other thought.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other night. We were handicapping. We've been handicapping for a while now, just looking forward to the NBA playoffs. And I think that you and I were both in agreement that 3 out of the 4 spots in the conference finals were going to be pretty hard to not play out like we expected. Lakers versus Clippers in the West and the Bucks versus somebody in the East. Yeah. But the one sort of open spot was it going to be the Raptors? Are they ready to do it without Kawhi Leonard? They've looked better than anybody's expected all year long. The Celtics, but Kemba Walker's out. Kemba Walker doesn't look full strength to me. Gordon Hayward is out, but they still have these other promising guys.
Sure.
But I think that we both considered Toronto and Boston. We didn't consider Miami. It's very interesting to me the way that the Miami Heat were never a big market team, but they were always a team that got more run than almost anybody but the big market team all the way through the 90s, 2000s, even before they got LeBron James.
Well, they had Alonzo Mourning and Shaquille O'Neal Dwayne Wade.
The great Heat teams of the 90s were awesome. With Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway. But then, and then when they got Dwayne Wade and Shaq and all that, obviously. But for whatever reason, Jimmy Butler doesn't get the run that he maybe deserves. Yep. And I think Jimmy Butler, his reputation got a little bit soured last year in Philadelphia because they sort of cast him as the odd man out. And now that he's in Miami and he doesn't have to, the continuity between Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler was horrendous. It's horrific. That's a terrible combo. It has nothing to do with the individual parts. It's just they don't work together. Jimmy Butler's an ISO slashing wing scorer. Ben Simmons can't shoot, and Joel Embiid needs the ball. You got to throw that guy the ball. The rebirth of Jimmy Butler in Miami, though, I think people are sleeping on Miami because people also forget Goran Dragic, before he got hurt, was an all-NBA player. He's an all-NBA player. He wasn't just an all-star. He was an all-NBA player in Phoenix.
Right.
Those two as a great combo, man. And the other thing is that a lot of times people say, if you're Phil Jackson, okay, you're only a good coach because you had the greatest players of all time. Well, Eric Spoelstra has maybe had the most demeaned reputation of any coach in the league because people say, you only won because you had LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. Eric Spoelstra's kept winning 45 to 50 games with those guys nowhere to be found, with anonymous teams. He's a great coach. So I just think that we need to consider Miami as a team that maybe could get to the conference finals in the East as well.
I had Brooklyn beating Toronto in this first round of the playoffs. I have Toronto going to the Eastern Conference Finals now. Okay, that's where we're at. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Top of the hour coming up, Willa Albrecht. She is our senior spotlight. She is a Montana Lady Grizz now, but was at Billings West last year for her senior season of basketball and the senior season that did not happen in track and field. We'll talk to her about all of that and what it's like day 2 on campus at the University of Montana right after this. A Spectrum Window Cleaning has a strong commitment to community. So for the month of August, they are donating 10% of their proceeds to Watson's Children's Shelter. Why? Well, it's because they're awesome and they help kids in crisis every day. Spectrum Window Cleaning wants to get behind that and help. Do you? Well, here's how. Have your windows, carpets, or gutters cleaned in August. Again, 10% straight to help the kids. Search Spectrum Window Cleaning and call or hit the website for a fast, free estimate. Remember, Spectrum Window Cleaning, or, again, you can search window cleaning and pick the company that has 10 times more 5-star reviews than anyone else. They're pretty easy to find that way, and they are going to help take care of the Watson Children's Shelter. They have raised $4,000 already this month. Their goal is $8,000. They would like to give when it's all said and done. Spectra Window Cleaning. Go there now. Get your windows done. They got to get done anyhow. You might as well also donate to a good cause with Spectrum.
Garden City Paint and Glass is ready to help you with your summer home improvement projects. Their trained staff can help you with your painting and staining projects, setting you up with the right colors and the right brushes, rollers, and painting preparation, and they can even color match and custom tint. Garden City Paint and Glass sells only the highest quality paints and stains, so your project comes out right. Visit Garden City Paint and Glass for more information or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Missoula for over 30 years.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club. Yes, Kurt's Polaris is open and the great outdoors are wide open. So why not make the most of it during the Polaris Upgrade Your Ride event? Take the family on a cross-country adventure with Polaris General, the world's most comfortable, most powerful crossover machines. Kick up some dust in a Razor, the off-road's most thrilling performance side-by-sides. Grab the bars of a legendary Sportsman ATV and discover the freedom of unstoppable performance. Or get more done between your fence lines with Ranger, America's favorite off-road workhorse. It's time to elevate your outdoor adventures. Step up to the off-road's best for as little as $5 a day during the Polaris Upgrade Your Ride event at Kurt's Polaris. Kurt's Polaris has two great locations at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and on Highway 83 in Sealy. Everything you need to get off the beaten path, from machines and equipment to clothing and accessories, is at Kurt's Polaris. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. Offer valid in U.S. through 9/30/20 on select new Sportsman models. Subject to qualification and financing. See participating dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
Who is Automated Living? Nick Anderson, born and raised in Missoula and a UM grad. He's a master of audio, video, and smart integration. Joe Hazel is a Montana native and an expert in security systems and surveillance cameras. And I am Don Verity, building relationships and technology solutions in Western Montana for over 25 years. We have a showroom on North Reserve where you can meet the team and demo the latest audio, video, security, and smart equipment for your home or business. Automated Living, life made easy.
Push your Montana summer day over the top. Come into the Montana Club for a deliciously prepared meal, scratch-made from all the right stuff. Savor our crisp garden salads, juicy burgers, and custom-grilled Montana Club Cattle Company Angus steaks. Or try our creative chef specials crafted for your feasting enjoyment. Stop in for our BOGO Happy Hour with $5 apps from 3 to 5:30 daily. Clean, safe, and local. Visit your Montana Club today on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Missoula Hellgate alum Catherine Burkhoff remains on the national swimming stage, and her Olympic dreams remain a reality. The peerless state record-setting swimmer who graduated from Hellgate in 2019 was named to the 2020-2021 USA Swimming National Team Wednesday. That, according to a report from the Missoulian. It marks the second consecutive year she's landed on the team. She's one of just 56 female swimmers in America to qualify for the 115-member squad. The former Missoula Aquatics Club standout made the team in the 100-meter backstroke, an event her father, David Burkhoff, earned silver and bronze Olympic medals in 1988 and 1992, respectively. During her first year at North Carolina State, Catherine Burkhoff was an All-American in different events and also was the ACC champion in the 100-meter backstroke.
Breaking news this afternoon, University of Montana basketball player Nassim Gaskin was booked into the Missoula County Jail Thursday morning on felony strangulation charges and suspended from all university-related activities per the Student-Athlete Conduct Code. He's also facing misdemeanor partner and family member assault charges. His initial appearance in the Missoula County Justice Court on Thursday was postponed, court documents said.
And finally, Lewistown standout wrestler Cooper Birdwell is committed to continue his career at Oklahoma State. He's a three-time Class A state champ. This ESPN Sports Center brought to us by Aaron Pignano of Exit Realty.
Now from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez.
Just take a wild guess.
Okay.
Cooper Birdwell from Lewistown.
Yes.
It's a very cool thing for him to be going to Oklahoma State.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Guess how many national championships Oklahoma State has won in wrestling? This blew my mind.
Are we talking about team
championships?
Team championships. Man. I mean, how far back are we going? Quite a way.
All time. I mean, they were one of the original wrestling programs. So, 120 years.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's going to be a huge number. I guess I'll say 20.
If I told you 20, you'd think that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
34.
Wow.
What? Let's say it started in 1900, which I bet you didn't start until probably 30 to 40 years after that. So let's say it's been going for 80 years. That's like winning half of the national championships. That's unreal.
That is unreal. Congratulations to him, Cooper Birdwell, who still has a senior year to go. He's three-time
Absolutely.
Class A state champion. He's looking to make it 4 straight.
It's like he told 406mtsports.com, he said, well, how do you say no to that?
Pretty tough.
Who else you get recruited by? Who cares? I'm going to go to the team that wins the national championship every other year.
When it comes to wrestling, Big 12, little bit of Big 10.
Yeah,
that's where you want to be.
Yep.
They see what it is. It's flat out there, and they got room to go ahead and wrestle around. If you missed anything in hour number 1, check it out on the podcast, the Tootell Nuanez podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen anytime you would like at your leisure. That's the beauty of it. The podcast available thanks to Blackfoot Communications and Alpine Touch. You want to call 361-3688 is the phone number. All guests, like our next guest, Willa Albrecht, who's our senior spotlight, brought to us on the Rankish Brothers RV phone line. You can also listen to the stream anytime you would like to. The stream available at our website, 1029ESPN.com, thanks to Opportunity Bank of Montana, your local bank, your opportunity.
As we continue to monitor the influence of the situation that the world is going through at large and its impact on specifically high school athletics, since that's the thing that we're sort of clinging to here in Montana. As we said yesterday, or I guess earlier this week, Missoula County, Gallatin County are having their next meeting with school officials and the health department next week. So
Okay.
Tuesday is when it's happening. We've already seen the announcement out of Yellowstone County and Lewis and Clark counties. There will be no allowed fans. And excuse me, we already knew Yellowstone County, no fans. Flathead and Silverbow County, which is Butte, 2 fans per participant. So your mom and dad can come to your game if you're from that town. But then this is the latest out of Helena. This is from Chris Peterson at the Helena Independent Record. No fans for Lewis and Clark County. So that means the Helena schools.
Okay.
No fans allowed as well.
All right. So there we go. They continue to go. Let's talk to a former high school athlete and a current Lady Grizz, shall we? It's time for our senior spotlight. We're excited about this.
Well, it is time now for our senior spotlight presented by McElmurray Homes and Mike Nugent of Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate. And we are very happy now to be joined by a Billings West standout, both basketball player and track star, and now a University of Montana student as of today, Willow Albrecht joining us. Willow, thank you so much for being with us.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're certainly happy to have you here. Is this right? Is today your actually first day of college, Willa?
No, it was yesterday.
It was. So you're a veteran now.
Yeah.
You got it all under. Well, let's start there. I mean, how cool is this? We always talk about sports and all that kind of stuff. That's what we do around here. That's great. But I mean, it's exciting, right? I know it's weird and the whole, distancing thing and the face mask and all that kind of stuff. But your first day of college, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting. I haven't been to school in 6 months, so it's kind of weird, but I'm excited about it.
What was moving day like?
It was kind of different this year because we all had time slots that we had to move in. We only had 2 hours, and then we could only bring 2 family members. So it was kind of hard to get everything moved in and put together with only 2 people in 2 hours, but it worked out okay. I have everything I need. So.
Which family members did you select?
My dad and my sister came with me.
Okay, very good. And was there any hurt feelings? Did you have some uncles who were like, "Hey, Willa, what's going on? How come I couldn't get the invite?"
No, most of my other family lives out of town.
Gotcha.
In other states.
Gotcha.
So they didn't really yeah.
Well, let's talk about. Let's go back a little bit. I know that it's exciting here now to be at the University of Montana and enrolled there and getting ready for hopefully a basketball season, of course. So that's great, and we'll get into it. But what a great season that you had your senior year at Billings West playing basketball there. You go all the way to the state championship game, and just like on the boys' side, you're anticipating, excited. You win the semifinals. You're going to play Helena Capital for all the marbles, and then all of a sudden, no, and they shut it down, and you don't get to play your state championship game. On one hand, obviously tremendously disappointing. On the other hand, what an unbelievable season. And now that it's been, 5-6 months removed from that, have you been able to look back and take that sense of accomplishment out of the season that you had?
Yeah, for sure. Just looking back on it, it's cool that we even got to have a state tournament or part of it, because I know there's a lot of people that didn't even get to finish their regular season. So that was definitely nice. And then just the way our team finished, we finished winning like 17 games in a row or something like that. So I feel like even though we didn't get to play the championship, we still went out on a good note.
You mentioned some people maybe not getting to play state tournaments at all. The regular season kind of got canceled. Have you talked to Jonelle Molberg about that at all? I know because she was in Montana and then she moved to Spokane for her senior year, which worked out great because she got a college chance. But I know Washington got shut down way before we did. So has she said, hey, at least you're lucky enough to play in the state tournament?
Yeah, she did kind of say that. I feel bad for everyone that didn't even get to finish.
But the other thing, too, Willa Albrecht joining us as our senior spotlight, University of Montana student as of 24 hours ago. And you are an outstanding track athlete as well, and we're in high school, and particularly in the sprints, the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and that didn't even get off the ground this spring. What was that like to have, to be geared up and something that you're really good at, a great athlete in, and have that not even, come to fruition at all?
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing. Ever since my junior year, I was really looking forward to my senior year of track, just because I knew that was probably going to be my last year of track, and hopefully our team was going to be really good. And yeah, I was just super disappointed when they finally canceled it, because I had been doing all the workouts that our coaches sent us and stuff like that just to make sure I was prepared if we did have a season. And then when it finally came out, it was just super disappointing that we weren't even going to have a chance.
Is it you committed to play for the University of Montana and the Lady Grizz, and that's great. And it's a long and storied history with that program, and I'm sure tremendously exciting to be a part of it. Would there have been any chance, though, that you would have gone into track if you would have had a senior year? Do you think that's something that might have looked at a little bit longer if you would have gone out there and had some marks and maybe had some looks from that side of things, or were you pretty committed that you wanted to play hoops?
Yeah, I don't think I really ever would have considered track. I always knew that I wanted to do basketball in college, and I never really thought about anything else.
What were some of your goals going into track season? Because I know you got on the podium, both the 100 and the 200, and you guys had a great sprint relay team last year too. So, I mean, did you have a state championship in your sights? Is that what you were training towards?
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely for the team, I think we could have won the championship. And then individually in the 200 and the 100, I think I would have had a good chance. And for our 4x1, I think we would have had a good chance to set another record.
When you're talking about being a multi-sport athlete, you mentioned that you never really even considered track, even though you were one of the elite track athletes in the state of Montana. What sets basketball apart? What made you fall in love with the game of basketball?
I think it's just I've been doing it since I was like 7 or 8, and it's just kind of become part of my life. And I couldn't really imagine going to college and not doing basketball. I just always imagined myself doing that.
And so what's it been like since, school gets canceled for the last couple of months of the year, and then you have the summer that you go through, and you're getting ready to go be, part of the University of Montana and the Lady Grizz and Coach Petrino. And what have you been able to do, if anything at all, with the team, and what's it been like being now a member of the university and of this basketball team?
Yeah, so like 2 weeks before school started, we all got to come to Missoula and start working out, just having like a couple practices and doing a little lifting, and just like getting to know your teammates a little bit. So that was super nice, I think, because I know not all teams had a chance to do anything at all during the summer.
Willa Albrecht joining us. She's a graduate of Billings West High School and a incoming freshman at the University of Montana, set to play basketball for the Lady Grizz. Join us on our Senior Spotlight. Senior Spotlight brought to us by Blade McElmurray at McElmurray Homes. Blade knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete coming from small town Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on the 1995 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. And since then, Blaine's used those values in his work with McElmurray Homes. Missoula's highest quality custom residential construction company, McElmurray Homes has been in existence since 2003 and remains committed to offering quality customer service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes, proud supporter of local high school and college athletes throughout the state of Montana. Willa, one thing that's so interesting to me is that you're a twin. And my best friends growing up were twin brothers, and they actually ended up coming playing football for the University of Montana. And a lot of times twins, you can't separate them, and a lot of times twins, they want to find their own.
Put them together.
That's right. They want to find your own way. And your sister, she's going to be going to school at Lehigh across the other side of the country in Pennsylvania. So what was that? How did that influence your decision? You committed a lot earlier than your sister, and it kind of seems like you knew you wanted to come to Montana and play for the Lady Grizz. So what was the dynamic like, kind of going through the recruiting process with and alongside your twin sister?
Yeah, we always knew that we wanted to go to separate schools. I don't think there was any way that we were ever going to go to the same school. So pretty much like once I committed here, it was pretty much that she wasn't going to come here. So
how come? What's going on? Well, you said I got to be my own person over here. Leave me alone.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've like always been together our whole lives, and I feel like I've never really had the chance to be my own person. It's always been me and my sister. So I think it'll just be fun in college to kind of be my own person, and yeah.
Well, I would give so very much money to have an identical twin. First of all, we would have such a better looking group of humans if there was two of me. That's the first thing. The second thing, though, is this, and I don't tell Coach Petrino that I'm planting this seed, but this has to happen, okay? Somewhere along the line, you have to play a game for Lehigh, and your sister has to play a game for the Lady Grizz, and no one can know it, okay? You just exchange jerseys. You walk on the floor there. She walks on the floor in Missoula, and you got to play at both schools, and no one knows. I mean, this would be the greatest thing. You got to do the same hair thing. I get that, but, I mean, it's worth it, isn't it?
I mean, you could try, but I would hope that my teammates and coaches know me well enough that they could tell, but you never know.
Well, tell us a little bit about the group of freshmen that you're coming in with, because a whole group of girls from the state of Montana. We had Kendall Keller on the show a couple weeks back from Havre. I know Carson Murphy is there as well, and I know that Jonelle played her senior year in Spokane, but she's a Montana girl as well. So, is there something neat to you about the fact that kind of almost your entire freshman class is in-state Montana girls?
Yeah, it's super cool that we have so much talent in the state and that we can all come here and play together and we all have something in common. And yeah, it's been super nice to get to know all of them. I never really knew any of them before coming here. But yeah, it's been nice just to talk to them about their experiences, because obviously it's a little different than mine, because I was in a different class and everything. But yeah, it's just been super nice to get to know all of them, and they're all super good and fun to play with.
What was your thoughts on the Lady Grizz when you were growing up? Were you a big Lady Grizz follower and fan?
No, I don't know. Being from Billings, I kind of was more of a Bobcats fan, but I honestly didn't really care about either place.
Recruiting was probably a very interesting process for you this year, because not only have we gone through this pandemic and the funny way that everything has ended, and the fact that you guys weren't able to finish out your senior year of high school, but also a coaching change, a transition at Montana before, when you had been committed. Had you signed before the coaching change, or did the signing come afterwards?
Yeah, I committed before.
Okay. So, I mean, what was your thought process when you know that the program is going to be going through a transition, and what gives you faith in Coach Petrino moving forward here?
Yeah, when I first heard the news, I was a little surprised, but I was also excited because, I mean, Coach Petrino was there the whole time during my recruiting process, and I really like him as a person and as a coach. You can just tell he works super hard, and he's doing everything he can to help us and make sure that we can be the best team possible for next year.
Well, Willa, we appreciate you being here with us very much. It's awesome to hear the stories of high school and how you went through what you went through, and now have gotten to this point where you're now a college student, full-fledged. Congratulations to you on that, and we're excited about this coming season and your career with the University of Montana. We wish you the best. We'll look forward to tracking you through all of it and catching up with you here soon, okay?
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Willa Albrecht, our Senior Spotlight brought to us by Blaine McLemary and McLemary Homes, and also Mike Nugent, Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate. Coulter, the real estate market is popping right off right now. Tell them about it.
It absolutely is. World of real estate, always evolving, but that's probably more true now than ever. Ever is an arbitrary term, but at least in the broad scope of things.
Recent history.
It hasn't been like this in the 21st century in Missoula for a really long time. So if you're a longtime Missoulian that's looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be a great time for you to sell. But also, if you're in a position to buy something new, today might be a great time for you to buy. No matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. That's 531-1802. That's his direct line. And he always wants you to remember, no matter what question you have, any question is good to ask.
Quick break. On the other side, the Bucks up 21 at halftime, and two former Big Sky Conference foes become teammates professionally. Who would the best Big Sky Conference tandems be at the next level? We'll discuss right after this. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club. Listen, I know you know 5 realtors, and I know your brother-in-law's cousin's a realtor, and your mom's best friend's daughter is a realtor. But can those realtors juggle knives? Can those realtors swallow fire? Can those realtors walk across hot coals? Well, neither can Aaron Pignano, but he can give you the best service and take good care of you when you're buying or selling your home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or have done this a few times, call Aaron Pignano at 406-241-0024. That's 406-241-0024, or check out search406.com.
If you haven't tasted Florence Coffee's signature power shot, you've got to stop by and check it out. Espresso shots and cream, poured over ice, and topped off with whipped cream, sprinkled with raw sugar. Come visit us for an afternoon pick-me-up and try any of our iced lattes, cold brew, or delicious frappes. And go to FlorenceCoffeeCo.com.
The best flavor under the big sky, Florence Coffee Company.
A family restaurant that has both breakfast and 2 happy hours? It must be Paradise. No matter what you are in the mood for, Paradise Falls has what you want. Open from 7 a.m. until midnight. Paradise Falls offers breakfast, lunch, and dinner while also serving half-price appetizers during their late happy hour from 9 until 11 Sunday through Thursday. The casino's open, the machines are hot, and Paradise Falls still has a standard happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Check it out at 3621 Brook Street in Missoula. Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
COVID-19.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Sports Center. Missoula Hellgate alum Catherine Burkhoff remains on the national swimming stage, and her Olympic dreams remain a reality. Peerless state record-setting swimmer who graduated from Hellgate in 2019 was named to the 2020-2021 Team USA National Team Wednesday, according to a report from the Missoulian. It marks the second consecutive year she has landed on the team. She is one of just 56 female swimmers in America to qualify for the 115-member team. The former Missoula Aquatics Club standout made the team in a 100-meter backstroke, which was an event her father, David Burkhoff, earned a silver and bronze medal in the 88 and 92 Olympic Games, respectively. During her first year at NC State, Burkhoff got All-American honors in different events and was the ACC Conference champion in the 100-meter backstroke.
In breaking news this afternoon, the University of Montana men's basketball player Nassim Gaskin was booked into the Missoula County Jail Thursday morning on felony charges of assault as well as a misdemeanor partner and family member assault charge. His initial appearance in the Missoula County Justice Court that was supposed to be on Thursday was postponed, according to court staff.
And finally, Lewistown standout wrestler Cooper Birdwell is committed to continue his career at Oklahoma State. This ESPN Sports Center brought to us by Aaron Pignano of Exit Realty. Bucks up at the break, 64-43 over the Orlando Magic. Magic getting back into it offensively, at least, scoring 13 points, maybe even less than that. 13 points through 13 minutes, put it like that, of basketball. They scored 30 in the last 11 minutes of the first half, but still down 21, and Milwaukee in control at this point in the game. Coulter, you wanted... Oh, go ahead.
Just a little note of goodwill. Send thoughts. As a lot of people that listen to the show know, I'm on the board of directors for the Montana Football Hall of Fame, and we had to postpone our event this year, for obvious reasons. We are scheduled to go next June 25th and 26th, which is it's always an excellent event, outstanding, great stories. One of the great storytellers I have had the pleasure of meeting and spending time with at this event is former Grizz player Mike Tillman. Mike Tillman is larger than life in quite every way. Even now, as a man in his mid-70s, he is no less than 6'8", 285 pounds, I bet. He's an enormous man, and he's done a great deal for folks all across the High Line. He owns Tillman Motors and a bunch of other businesses up in the Havre area, and he's done great things for the community. He's always been a great supporter of Grizz athletics. But in our newsletter, one note is that Mike is very sick, and so good thoughts out to Mike. Hopefully he can get healthy and we can celebrate again next June. But he's a guy that was an outstanding Montana Grizzly, a University of Montana Hall of Famer, drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, played more than a decade in the NFL, one of the all-time, in terms of when you pair his college and pro career together, one of the greatest players to ever come out of the state of Montana. It's unquestionable. So best of thoughts to Mike Tillman and the Tillman family.
Absolutely. Very good. Coulter, you thought it'd be fun. So this news came out yesterday, but, first of all, we go by Harold Frey. Signed with a Spanish basketball club, maybe last week, I guess it was. And then yesterday, Kendall Manuel signed, and guess what? To the same team. So somebody's got the Big Sky pipeline going out there to Spain.
There may be similar agent.
Right, exactly. Perhaps the same agent.
Sure.
Maybe similar, like twins or what?
Maybe same agency.
I get you. In any case, that's cool. It's fun for those two guys to be paired up together over there, and we wish them absolutely the best. But it got you to thinking, hey, what would be some great Big Sky tandems that would be fun to watch play, professional basketball internationally or whatever it might be, that we're going against each other for maybe 3-4 years at the Big Sky level, and then all of a sudden find themselves teammates later.
Well, I started to think about this because Kendall Manuel, he had a great college career period. I mean, he goes to Oregon State, out of Billings Skyview after being the Montana Gatorade Player of the Year. And because Wayne Tinkle was in the middle of a rebuild, thrust into an elevated role, which he did way better than I think almost anybody from Montana expected him to do. I mean, he was a starter right out the gates. He had a couple big games as a freshman. Great wingman for Trace Tinkle. Then he gets hurt. He sort of falls down the rotation, comes back from the injury, but then can never quite get it rolling again. But then comes the University of Montana. He's the newcomer of the year in the Big Sky Conference, top reserve in the Big Sky Conference. And then last year was a second-team All-League player, one of the 10 best players in the Big Sky Conference. Smooth shooter, hard worker, great guy. We loved hanging out with him, loved listening to his stories. Always so gracious with us. But all that said, the one thing you got to give Kendall credit for, he did figure out a way to create his own shot, which is key in Montana's system. And he did get a lot of open shots, especially his junior year, from guys like Ahmad Rory and Michael Ogine penetrating the paint. But this last year, he didn't get set up as much as I thought he maybe could have. He still averaged 15.5 points a game, but he could have been a 18 to 20 point a game scorer if he had somebody that was really facilitating addition to him. And so then I started thinking, well, if him and Frey would have played together, man, what a combo. I mean, that's a great combo. Those guys complement each other so well. And who knows what their future immediately will be. I think they both are going to have to do some work because that's a really good league. And so I think that they're going to be probably role players as rookies initially, but working together, that's going to be tremendous. And I guarantee you that they'll be fast friends because they're, personality-wise, two of my favorite kids that we've covered in the last couple of years. I mean, they're both super cool, friendly, great guys. So, I mean, the rivalry.
Ton of international experience, obviously, from Norway, but Mozambican ties for Kendall Manuel as well.
I mean, what great conversations can they have, too, because they've both been all over the world. So I started thinking of just guys that, because a lot of times when you're the dude in the Big Sky Conference, it's hard to have other guys around you, but also just finding ways to complement guys. It's a difficult task for sure. The first guy I thought of when I thought of complementary players was Andre Spite at Northern Colorado, because Andre Spite, Jordan Davis, who then went on to become the Big Sky MVP the following year at Northern Colorado, I think he didn't get enough credit for the fact that he was the dude at UNC for his freshman and sophomore years. He was the guy that Jeff Linder wanted to build the whole thing around. Then they get this transfer from Arizona State, who's a one-and-done guy, and Spite lit the league on fire. I mean, Spite scored 850 points in one season. It's the all-time Big Sky record. I don't think it'll ever be broken.
Spite was as unbelievable as it gets. Him at his best. I mean, I think back to that the greatest Big Sky game I've ever watched, which was Montana and Northern Colorado in the playoffs, the semifinal that year. The run that he went on through the middle portion of the second half was better than any run I ever saw Tyler Hall go on.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it didn't even seem possible. It didn't even seem real the way that he played in that game, and 854 is way out there.
Especially because they won that postseason tournament too, so they played more games than anybody else too.
Sure.
So that's another part of that record. But Jordan Davis is a great player. I didn't think he complimented Spite that well.
Totally. No, they two great players, and you're going to take them both, but they're not built to go together.
They're both ball dominant guys, and that's what Linder's system is being the ball dominant guy. And then when Davis shifted in that role, he ended up becoming the second all-time leading scorer in the history of the conference in terms of total points.
Right.
But not great complimentary. The number one guy, I thought, because Spite was so smooth in the pick and roll, and he can also put you on the string and pull you back and shoot from three, from mid-range, from the deep two. He can get to the rim. But a pick and roll guy would have been so great for him. And the number one, but also a guy that could protect the rim. You know, he needed one of those transcendent big guys. There hasn't been that many in the last couple of years. But the number one guy that popped in my mind was Joel Ballenboy from Weaver State, who ended his career as, I believe, either the first or second all-time leading rebounder in the history of the league.
Right.
And he was an amazing player. He's on a two-way contract right now in the NBA, so he's one of those guys that's kind of flirting with it. But I thought that'd be a great combo. The other one I thought of, because I thought of Tyler Hall right away too.
Sure.
And I think that there was a it's hard to say that someone was misused when they hit 453s and scored 300 more points than anybody in the history of the league.
Yeah.
But Tyler Hall at his origin, he's a phenomenal shooter. He's a phenomenal scorer at Montana State. One of the most underrated passers. I honestly thought Montana State was at their best during the Brian Fish days when Tyler Hall was at the point. That sounds crazy because Harold Frey is also one of the most productive point guards in the history of the league. but as good as Frey and Hall were, and as good as they were together, I think that there was better players that could complement Tyler Hall, and then he still harkened back to the pick and roll because Tyler can handle it, he can shoot the step back, and he's so deadly with that step back three, so having a big guy for him, like a rim-running athletic guy, so I thought of Venke Joyce from Eastern Washington. I think that those guys would have been dynamite, especially if you could play Tyler at the one as kind of a James Harden combo-style guard. Who you got?
Well, this is relatively easy. Harold Frey and anyone.
Right.
But I thought
Harold Frey. Here's what's so interesting about basketball though is that for Frey is a great point guard, but you wouldn't deem him as a true. He is a true point guard in the modern game, but he's a scoring point guard too, though.
Yes, he is.
He needs to score, and that was the one reason why him and Tyler Hall. Every time Harold Frey's shooting the ball, Tyler Hall's not. Harold Frey's such a good player, but it did take away from the allure of Tyler Hall a little bit at times.
I thought the same thing you thought. If you could pair him with a big guy, now there's not a ton of big guys just in the Big Sky Conference. I mean,
Absolutely.
they're just not around.
Absolutely.
And especially rim running guys like Ballin' Boy. But I thought that Harold Frey and Jamara Coe together,
man, that's a good one.
Could be something because
that's a good
I still think Jamara Coe has some of the best hands and feel around the rim, and some
the
of
ability
that
to gather underneath the rim.
Absolutely,
too.
and so Frey, how many just set him up, knock him down dunks does Devin Kirby have because he's 6'11" and he's standing there and Harold Frey's driving and just gives it up. So you could get some of that from Jamara Coe. But the other thing I think is Jamara Coe's a big dude. And
it's an understatement.
I mean, he's a big guy. So point being, not merely tall, right? Okay.
Sure.
So all of these, you think about the drive and dish game that you could have with that, but also him clearing space. I thought that Jamara Coe did a great job a lot of time leveraging his size to create lanes rather than fill up lanes for guys who would come, onto the interior. So I don't know. There's not a lot of guys that can finish at and around the rim better than Harold Frey. And so maybe he comes down and he gives it up. But also I think that all of a sudden Jamara Coe does a quarter pivot and just seals off anybody who might be in his way, and he just comes down, has to beat a guard on a lane, which he's going to do 100 out of 100 times, and you got it. So I think that would be a fun tandem.
That's a really good one, especially because, you mentioned Devin Kirby. Devin Kirby's a largely offensively absent player, yet he averaged 8 points per game because Harold Frey was throwing him
3
lobs.
dunks. Yeah, that's right.
And Harold Frey, Jabril Bell was a good player, but Harold Frey made him one of the better players in the league. A third-team All-League and Newcomer of the Year in the league last year,
right,
just because of his ability to set him up. That's an outstanding one. It's so funny, too, because it's not a knock on Ahmaud Rory, but Ahmaud Rory and Jamara Coe, they don't complement each other that well because Rory can run the high pick and roll. He can get to the rim. Rory's so skilled, though. He's a you reach, I teach type point guard. That's what I would call him. Because when you go for it, he's so snappy that he can pop you back. I mean, how many times did Ahmaud Rory hit that little 14-foot jump shot? Harold Frey is going 2 dribbles more and then giving you an alley-oop and or dishing it down low and letting you dunk it in the lane. It's just interesting because even though Jamara Coe, Ahmaud Rory played just fine together, there is a certain style of point guard that caters to a Coe a lot more.
The other guys I was thinking of, it's interesting in the Big Sky Conference because often teams will have one guy who's their really good player. Allen at Idaho, but I was thinking about guys like Holland Woods, Justin Strings.
Yep. Yeah,
but I was thinking who am I going to pair them with? Because they're such individual players because they kind of have to be. They're carrying the load.
It's a great point because I considered Justin Strings too, and I was like, who would I pair with him at Sac State? Really nobody. He's got to be the dude. You got to just throw it to him in that short corner and just let him go to work.
Right. So
I got a good one for you then.
Yeah.
Can you think of anybody that would be really good with Jarek Harding?
Yeah, well, that's... one guy I think could be good with Jarek Harding is maybe like Bodie Hume.
Ooh, that's a really good one.
Because he's a
Bodie
big
Hume
guy.
From Colorado.
Yeah, he's 6'9", 6'8", 6'8", 6'10".
They list him. They list him shorter than he is. I'll tell you that.
But he can. But he's a guard, so I mean, he's a really good shooter of the basketball, and I think that he could help both on the inside and outside and really create some problems defensively in terms of where he would be on the floor. Because Jarek Harding's probably the fastest player I've seen in the Big Sky Conference.
For sure.
And both his first step and just his ability to get to the rim. And, his finishing ability is peerless for a 5'9" guy, if he's that. And so him getting inside and getting a little help, again, maybe you just throw it up and let Bodie Hume go up and get it, but also because he's collapsing the entire defense at will, kick out, bang away, so that might be one.
I got a couple more for you.
Okay.
First of all, I just thought of a really, really good one.
All right.
You wouldn't really think of these guys complimenting each other as much as they're both so unselfish and also such crazy, fierce competitors that I think that they would just make opposing coaches cry. Michael Ogine and Jonah Radabaugh.
Oh, I mean,
who ain't scoring?
No one. He had 0 points.
That's what I'm saying. You ain't scoring, man.
It's so good, dude.
And if they were going back and forth, and they both could play with each other so well, because those two dudes were more selfless in accepting a variety of roles, evolving roles, maybe in some people's eyes diminished roles. Michael Ogine never thought it like that, though. I mean, he was in the studio and he thought of it always like, well, whatever Travis Secure asks me to do, that's what I'm going to do. But Michael Ogine could have been a 2,000-point scorer if he would have been a dude, and he would never got to be the dude, and he still scored 1,600-plus points.
I understand in defensive rotations, at the University of Montana, for instance, they have a very what I would call a high level and involve complex defensive scheme that they run. Okay, so it takes not just effort, but it takes smarts, and it also takes a level of chemistry, I would argue, that you develop over time. But in general, chemistry is an offensive phenomenon in basketball because you got the different guys doing different things with one basketball. You can have 5 guys going 10 out of 10 defensively, and you're only going to be happy about it. Like on offense, you can't have all 5 guys can't shoot the ball on any possession, of course, right? But on defense, all 5 guys can just go so very hard if they have the motor and the energy to do it. No one goes harder than Michael Ogine and Jonah Radabaugh. And you put those guys on the perimeter together, and it's just lights out.
I thought of a good one for Holland Woods.
Okay.
This is actually phenomenal. Okay. Jake Wiley. Remember Jake Wiley from Eastern Washington? He's the Big Sky MVP 3 or 4 years ago. Started his career with the Grizz. Jake Wiley is one of the rare athletes I've ever seen. He started his career with the Grizz. He was sort of on the outs with the coaching staff. This is when Wayne Tinkle was here.
Yeah.
And
so then, it's more than 3 or 4 years ago for the record.
Yeah, that's true. So Jake Wiley, because here's the thing, though. I can't believe you don't know the story. It's one of the great stories ever. So Jake Wiley comes to Montana, played for Wayne Tinkle. And then Wayne Tinkle, it seems like he's probably going to move on, and Wiley wasn't really fitting in chemistry-wise. So Wiley goes out and decides he's going to run track. He's all conference in track in the indoor and outdoor season in the 400. This guy's 6'7".
Wow.
Then he goes and plays football, the last part of spring ball, for Bobby Houck. Catching passes. Then he decides he's going to go, he wants to play basketball again. But he's out. Tinkle takes the Oregon State job, so he's out. So he goes and plays.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been Bobby Houck he would have been playing for.
Sure, you're right. He was playing for Mick Delaney. Excuse me.
We're going back now.
Regardless,
yeah.
Jake Wiley then transfers to Lewis and Clark State in Lewiston, Idaho. Is the, needless to say, Frontier Conference Player of the Year multiple times. Then he grad transfers to Eastern Washington and is like 24-10 as the Big Sky Conference MVP. This is the year before Bogdan Blizniuk.
Okay.
Bogdan was on that same team too, but that Eastern team was really good. It was Jim Hayford's last year. But, I mean, Wiley is hyper athletic, and he's a pick and pop, pick and roll player. He would be so good with Holland Woods. I got one last one for you.
All right.
This is low-hanging fruit given the situation that we're in right now. But given what Damian Lillard has become in the Big Sky or in the NBA, I think that the thing that probably the kryptonite, the only kryptonite he really has experienced this decade in basketball is Will Cherry.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's low hanging fruit, but you gotta say Will Cherry and Dame together is pretty dang good.
Pretty good. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. On the other side, we'll give you an update on the NBA, what's going on right now. Orlando trying to make a game of it in the third quarter here. And also, yes, I'm going to drag Coulter through the ice with a little bit of a hockey update, okay? Just a little bit. We'll do that right after this. It's August the 20th. It is very nice outside. And as the summer days get a little bit shorter, spend some time outside. Play some golf. Go to Canyon River Golf Club. The Canyon River Golf Club over in East Missoula, spectacular setting along the Clark Fork River, the base of the mountains. It is an unbelievable way to spend an afternoon, maybe a morning, whatever it is. $49 a round. Incredibly affordable for a championship course. Beautiful, meticulously manicured, in perfect pristine condition. You go out there, you play 18 holes. Go online to canyonrivergolfclub.com. That's canyonrivergolfclub.com. You can see all their tee times. You can set your tee times online. You can see the specials. You can save money even off the already low prices that they have there. This is the time. If you're not even into the sport, this is the time to get into it. It's a great socially distanced sport. You spend time outside. You have yourself a ton of fun. Have some competition. Maybe put a couple of quarters on it with your buddies out there on the birdies and on the long drive contest. Whatever you want to do. Canyon River Golf Club. It is one of the premier golf experiences in Western Montana. Online at canyonrivergolfclub.com. Go play around at golf at Canyon River. Listen, I know you know 5 realtors, and I know your brother-in-law's cousin's a realtor, and your mom's best friend's daughter is a realtor. But can those realtors juggle knives? Can those realtors swallow fire? Can those realtors walk across hot coals? Well, neither can Aaron Pignano, but he can give you the best service and take good care of you when you're buying or selling your home. Whether you're a first-time buyer or have done this a few times, call Aaron Pignano at 406-241-0024. That's 406-241-0024. Or check out search406.com.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. Well, more like Les Schwab alignment and brakes and shocks and wheels and tires. Now, some tire places don't offer all that. They only sell tires. And we're not sure how they sleep at night, because all those services affect things like steering and stopping. That's why we offer more than tires to help keep you safe. Stop by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana. Hey there, Coulter Nuanez from Tootell Nuanez. I'm here with Tom from Aspen Sound. And Tom, it's almost boat season. Tell people, how do they get their boat all ready to roll with you guys for the summer?
Coulter, I appreciate it, my man. We're in full swing now. Boats are starting to rock out, and we're seeing a lot of ATVs come through. Window tinting is going full force, so make sure you get in while we still have some slots open.
Aspen Sound, located at 1300 West Broadway in Missoula.
Nothing says summer like a cool Montana microbrew. The Montana Club proudly serves regional Montana-made brews for your sipping pleasure. If you're in the mood for a cocktail, try one of our 20 specialty martinis. Come in from 3 to 5:30 for the club's BOGO Happy Hour and special $5 appetizers. Or swing by on Friday for Montini Night and $6 top shelf martinis. Make the Montana Club part of your summer fun. Clean, safe, and local. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
The Missoula Education Foundation is hosting a scramble for students on Friday, September 18th at the Missoula Country Club. Since 2007, the Missoula Education Foundation has supported MCPS teachers and students through grants and scholarships to enhance learning and creativity in the classroom. Registration is now open, and teams of 4 will receive a golf cart, lunch, cocktails, raffles, and a swag bag, all while supporting our students. To register for the Missoula Education Foundation Golf Scramble for Students, go to missoulaedfoundation.org.
If it matters to Missoula, it matters to us. Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio.
After being down 21 at the half, the Magic had cut the lead to 12 in the third quarter, but Valencenzo 3-ball extends it back out to 18. 84-66, the score right now between the Magic, and the Milwaukee Bucks. It's Tootell Nuanez. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio. It's SWX Montana Television. If you missed anything in the show, listen on the podcast. The podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen anytime you would like to. It's the beauty of it. Share it with your friends. Rate, review, subscribe, do all that stuff. Even push the stars, right? You can star the thing. What a deal. The podcast available thanks to our friends at Blackfoot Communications and Alpine Touch. Coulter, I just briefly, for everybody out there, because I think that it's worth taking a look at, the NHL playoffs are also rolling on. Tampa Bay was down 4-2 in their fifth game against the Columbus Blue Jackets in the third period, scored 2 goals in pretty short order, forced it to overtime, and scored the game winner to win the series and avenge their sweep last year to move on. The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Was it the same matchup last year?
Same matchup. Okay. Same matchup against the Blue Jackets. So they win 4-1. Didn't sweep the Blue Jackets, but they did get ultimately a relatively easy, if you call it that, 4-1 series.
Here's a little Montana connection. I do know this.
Okay.
Actually, never mind. We won't say that one. Keep on going.
Okay. Good self-edit on the fly, Coulter. The Boston Bruins, despite being the 4th seed, we talked about that. They were the best team in the NHL this year by record, by points. They end up with a 4 seed because they couldn't figure it out in the 3-game round robin. They still move on past Carolina 4-1. Colorado blew out Arizona 7-1 in the 5th game, so they win 4-1. Philadelphia is up 3-2 over Montreal, and the Vancouver Canucks are up 3-2 over the St. Louis Blues. Tonight, the Washington Capitals, who I believe are the number 2 seed, perhaps the 3 seed in the East, with Alex Ovechkin. They're 1 year removed from their Stanley Cup, I guess close to 2 years now, but you understand, 2018 Stanley Cup champions. They were down 3-0 against the New York Islanders, and their former coach, Barry Trotz, who left after winning the Stanley Cup, went to the New York Islanders. So maybe he knows a thing or two about his old club. That said, Ovi had a pair of goals in Game 4. The Capitals did win that game 3-2, and they play tonight, 6 o'clock. The puck drops here just about 10 minutes from now against New York to stay alive. Obviously, they got to win 4 straight. I think it's happened 4 times, Coulter, in the history of the NHL playoffs that a team's been down 3-0 and come back and won the series.
So more often than the NBA.
Has it ever happened in the NBA? I know it happened obviously in baseball because it happened for the Red Sox over the Yankees.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember if it happened again. I think it did, and I don't recall what series it was. But it has happened. There's precedent, but not much of precedent. Also, the Dallas Stars are up 3-2. They play Calgary tonight at 8:30. So our nearest hockey playing city with our good buddy Dave Dickinson up there in Calgary.
Yeah, CFL got canceled earlier this week. We haven't even touched on that.
That is majorly disappointing, though beneficial for us with our Grizz Grades podcast.
It absolutely is. You just got to feel, because probably
terrible.
Not probably absolutely the vast majority of the players that we have covered.
Right, Dalton Sneed was going to go play for Winnipeg.
Are playing in the CFL.
Yep.
CFL's like Eastern Washington North. There's like 6 or 7 Eastern Washington guys up there that are like standout players.
Right. It is worth noting again, but next week we will start our release of the Grizz Greats podcast. We're really excited about this. We will let you know who, what, and when, but we have been rolling on our interviews. We got a ton of them going, and they're going great. We're the folks that we've gotten to talk to. We're not going to reveal everybody that we've sat down with thus far and who else we have lined up. But I think there's been some names that everybody will recognize, and then there's been some names that some will recognize, but some may not. But I think all the perspectives and the stories that you get from some that you expected, maybe some that you didn't expect, have been really, really fun. So again, the 1995 Montana National Championship football team, it is their silver anniversary here 25 years ago. That iteration of the Grizzlies brought home the first national championship to the University of Montana in football, and we have had a lot of fun starting to put this thing together, and it's starting to come together. And we're excited to present it to everybody here soon.
Absolutely a pivotal moment in the history of the University of Montana and the city of Missoula. I mean, we've talked about it many times, but about 8 years old is when you start to really become impacted by the world around you. And I was 8 when that happened, and I think about it all the time. And I have not said that to any of the guys we've interviewed yet. And I probably won't, because I don't want to date them or myself or whatever, but I'm sitting in this chair by and large. I mean, if you were to say what was the spark that lit the fire,
path,
when I was sitting at the Wilma watching this, thousands of people go crazy over these guys in copper and gold jerseys. I knew almost nothing about anything at that moment, and then I was just like, man, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
My parents weren't into the Grizz thing yet because they're not from Montana. So then I was like, well, what neighbors have tickets? How can I go to this? I got a kid in Washington Grizzly Stadium, and it just matriculated from there. Here I am, dedicated to cover the Big Sky Conference for the rest of my life.
There you go. Well, very good. Well, we're excited to bring that to you, and more details forthcoming, particularly next week, where we will launch with the Grizz Greats Silver Anniversary podcast. Quickly, just one final update before we go. Milwaukee back up 17 now, 87-70, 153 left in the third quarter. Blazers, Lakers tonight. We will be sending you out to the bubble for pregame. That tips at 7 o'clock. We will have that game for you right here on ESPN Radio. The Blazers. What do you think, Coulter? Who you got tonight? Blazers, Lakers.
Dame Dollar, baby.
Whoa. Get out there.
Stack it up.
Get your brooms out. Is that what you're doing? You go with Barkley on the broom ride?
Nah. That was an emotional response. I got LeBron.
Okay. All right. It's going to be a great game nonetheless. Enjoy that. And we'll be with you tomorrow. Tootell, Nuanez, ESPN Radio.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain